It's a highly intimate program, and the one-on-one mentorship, I think that not only the students receive, which is something that you might not even get in a more residential program because of the length of time that you're with one teacher. What, 6 months? You spend with one teacher, and then you move on to another teacher. So you get a variety of mentors, and you spend real time with them so that you can develop a thought, you can develop an idea, you can develop a vision, and really explore things in a way that is really unique, I think, to this program. It's great for the teachers too, because I find myself exploring issues that are brought up by the students that I might not have spent time thinking about. So it gives me an opportunity to really stretch myself as a teacher. The most inspiring piece of advice I got as a writer was in a dream that I had about Jack Gilbert, where he came to me in a white room, and he was all dressed in white, and he sat down at a white table, and he said, how's your writing going? And I said, it's going great, Jack, And I said, do you have any advice for me? And he says, yes. He says, do not be in collusion with your own poems. And I thought, wow, what a great piece of advice, And I said, well, okay. And he said, and don't write sissy poems. Well, of course, that was me giving myself, that advice. But it came in the form of this great poet, who sat down in this room that's just pure and ready to be written on, And I think that's one of the things that a program like this allows you, is to listen to yourself, what is your own best advice to yourself? You hear, a lot of things go on over the period of the 10 days, and a lot goes on over the period of 2 years when you're in this program. But hopefully what it gives you is yourself, so that you can recognize who you are as a writer. Yeah, well, that's one thing, I just have no plans, and and I think it's good to have no plans. It was great just going to the thing with Laura. I'm realizing too, one of the things that as a teacher this program fosters in yourself is you see your students go through these incredible changes. You saw Laura move through, in 2 years, all these changes and take these incredible risks in her writing. And as a teacher, you look at that and say, am I taking those risks? I could do that. She did it, I could do it, So it really is an exchange, It's not just a giving, but it's a receiving. It's a call and response. And, so what's next for me is, what can I do like Laura and just get out of my comfort zone, and move somewhere that, move into territory I've never allowed myself to move into before as a writer. And you don't really know what that is exactly, but hopefully being surrounded constantly by people who are making those kinds of risks allows you to begin taking them too. I don't have any plans at all except to keep writing poems, day by day, and taking each day, as it comes, as a poet, and trying to keep myself open, just pry those doors open and say, yes, I am open to this world, as hard as it is, as tough as it is, as cruel and, difficult as the whole process is. I'm going to keep those iron doors open, and see what comes next. What is it that I don't want to do? That's the thing you need to do as an artist. And so beyond that, no, I just listen to myself when I start to get nervous, upset, confused, as Pam was saying, feeling shameful or, right? All those things are indicators. Anytime that your blood pressure goes up a little bit, that's an indicator. Time to write, time to listen to self and get something down, All writers begin in secrecy. They all begin as little rebels, sitting in their rooms, away from everything, communing with themselves, trying to understand who they are, why they're here, and where they're going. you know. And one day something happens and they take the step. They open the door and they take the writing out with them. But everybody starts in secret. I don't think there's any writer who hasn't begun in secret. I don't think there's any artist of any kind who hasn't begun in secret. That's the nature of art, is that it's the thing that's down below everything else. There's a reason to hide when you're making art, because it's something that the top half of the world, you know, they know it's there, but they don't know how to verbalize it, you know. So that's the artist's job, is to take all that mind ore and bring it up, you know, and let the sun shine on it, all that darkness, you know, to let it glint on the outside. I think people are interested in, why would a teacher, you know, I mean, I'm already teaching, right? Now I come and teach again. Why would I come here? And one of the reasons is for the faculty. You know, they're so talented and lively and interesting and inspirational and collegial, you know. I mean, I really feel inspired by being around this very talented faculty. And I think the students, I think this is one of the things that Pacific really excels in, which is that students come here and they see the interplay between the faculty, and they begin to get an idea of what it's like to live in a world of other writers, you know, the kind of sustenance that you get from being in a family of writers. And they look at us having as much fun as we do. We have way more fun than we should, considering that we're working, you know. And but it's really important to know that the life outside of the MFA program is filled with these people that are going to become your family. It's like a family reunion, right? You know, you come back to be with your family. And it's, you know, you don't get a lot out of writing. It's a lonely task. You know, there's not much monetary reward. There's very little that you gain, but what you gain that's really wonderful are people. You end up with all these friends who understand who you are, who know how hard you're working, you know, and really admire and support you. So for those of us who, you know, maybe came from families who weren't so supportive, you know, this is a family that is the real family. These are the people you'd really want to spend Thanksgiving with.